Today's episode is brought to you by Mars Energy Cream. Mars Energy is a new way to get a boost. Think energy drink, but it's a lotion you rub on. It's caffeine infused and has taurine just like energy drinks do. That's Mars with a Z, energycream.com. What's up, sons of Montezuma? San Diego State takes down Hawaii on the islands. But even with last place Nevada up next, are the Aztecs good enough to be bowl eligible?
Just the second first down of the day for Hawaii. And that's intercepted on the outside. Deshaun McEwen. Nothing but green grass, the pick six to the house. Shager bouncing back, trying to go over the defense, and the catch is made by Ashlock. And Hawaii finds the end zone for the first time tonight. This might be the final play of the third quarter. Here's Shager, another deep one, has his man, Senecal. The catch and run, Senecal takes it into the end zone, and Hawaii takes the lead. Maiden has time in the pocket, steps up, goes deep, has a man that got behind the defense. Here's Shaw. It's a foot race to the end zone, and Shaw has given the lead right back to the Aztecs. First and goal. We go back to Armstead, and Armstead punches it in, and the Aztecs are now up 2 scores.
Bam. Dang, so the Aztecs won. You still gonna leave the shoot me? Still gonna leave the shoot me message for all the viewers to see you?
Yeah, dude, that was as bad as a loss to me.
Not quite.
Hey.
They played as bad as they did in any loss, basically, except for the Air Force game.
I don't know. I'm gonna save it till we get into it, dude. I don't want to.
This guy getting room service with a fat ass burger straight to the podcast, man. Damn.
He's got the delivery.
All right, Aztec Nation, welcome back to another episode of the Sons of Montezuma podcast. Before you do anything, make sure you are hitting that like and subscribe button on the YouTube. And if you are listening to the audio-only version, make sure to give us a good or a bad review on Apple. I don't think Spotify allows you to do that, but Apple, you definitely can, even if you want to talk some trash. It's been a tough year, but we're here. And hey, it's a Victory Tuesday. It's a Victory Monday for us when we're recording, but tomorrow you guys will be hearing this, so it's a Victory Tuesday. It's your host, Mateo. You can find me at Mateo San Diego on Twitter. And I'm joined by 2 co-hosts. He's protecting our borders from sea to shining sea. What's up, K5 James?
What's up?
And the dirtiest of the Dans. He just wolfed down a whole burger in about 30 seconds. It's good to see you. What's going on, Dirtball Dan?
Oh shit, did he freeze?
Damn, Daniel.
That East County fucking internet, bro.
It's fine, just go.
Welcome back to the Sons of Montezuma podcast. Now that your internet is all de-scrambled, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, dude. Tired, but great.
Did that victory take a lot out of you, man? Even though it was on the islands, it's like starts at 8 o'clock. I was tired, man. That game was that was an exhausting game for me.
I don't like those 8 o'clock games, man. It is what it is. I don't think we played very well, but I don't think anybody thinks we played well, so it's not really not provoking or anything.
Well, the Aztecs won 41-34. They now improved their record, guys, to 3-4. They got their first Mountain West Conference victory of the season. It was a battle of the winless Mountain West Conference teams. We're going to get into a little bit of the surrounding teams in the conference, but the Aztecs, they're off the schneid, stopped the 4-game losing streak. Usually I ask you guys what you guys are feeling after the game. We got the victory, but I'm not so much interested in how you guys felt. It was a crazy game. It was back and forth. A lot of big plays. There were a lot of big plays. It wasn't like the cleanest football game, but there were a lot of big plays. What I'm more interested in hearing, because Aztec Nation has been on edge. Obviously, a 4-game losing streak will do that to you. It hasn't been a fun season. It's been a very challenging season. But what I'm more interested in hearing from you guys is, what did you guys learn? I think last episode, we were trying to find that perspective. Okay, how was the program? Where are we at? James, after watching this victory, what did you learn about this team or about this season or just how things are going? What did you learn anything from this game?
Oh yeah, it kind of confirmed the fear that we had that our defense is not very good. There's no way to sugarcoat it. They're just not a good defense this year, and that's something we're gonna have to deal with. And luckily, the offense made enough plays, and special teams made enough plays, and defense did get that pick six, which was great. But they also gave up a ton of big plays, and the tackling was still an issue. Coverage is still an issue. Guys wide open running downfield. So to me, that's the biggest concern. Everybody wants to talk about the offense and how the offense isn't very good, and the offense is what it is. It's trying to develop, and it takes steps here and there. But the defense is they pretty much regressed since that Ohio game. They've kind of gotten worse and worse as the season's gone along, in my opinion.
So just to give a little stats to kind of support what you're saying, the Hawaii offense, I know we were talking about it earlier, guys, but their quarterback, Braden Shager, the dude threw for over 400 yards, 427 yards, 3 touchdown passes. Of course, he had that pick six, which was good to see, right? It was early in the game, and I think we felt pretty good about something like that happening. We knew we had to get turnovers, but you're right, man. I mean, the defense let up 34 points, a lot of big plays, a lot of big passing plays. Dan, when you look at this game, what did you learn? Because Hawaii is one of those weird teams, right? Like they always seem to kind of give us fits. I mean, even when they had Rolovich, they beat us to go to the Mountain West Championship game. The run and shoot kind of gives us some issues. There's some times where we've dominated them. They're never usually that great, but when they're good, they do give us problems. Even against Rocky Long's defense, that run and shoot kind of gives us some issues. But you were telling me earlier, dude, this Hawaii team they're not a good team. So, I mean, what did you learn knowing that they had some subpar performances and they gave us all we could handle?
Usually when like the run and shoot, you play against a team like that, they get a lot of those quick passes. They're going to give up a lot of completions, but man, they were going for San Diego State's throat. Everything was down the field, and it seemed like it was all positive. Like all good outcomes came from attacking down the field. In my mind, I see SDSU defenders just chasing, but the really story for me this season is we just haven't had any pass rush the whole year. We can't even get it on a blitz. They can't get any pressure on them. And now our secondary is younger because we lost Dallas Branch, to the transfer portal. He would have been some good depth. So you saw a lot of young kids on the defense, especially getting reps. Chris Johnson, McEwen, the kid that had the pick six, just new names out there. So they look like they're just searching for something, giving people chances to see what they could do.
That's probably what I learned the most after this game. And James, you pointed out, like the Aztecs played a lot of players we hadn't seen throughout the season, right? On both sides of the ball. I mean, whether it was, Lucky Sutton getting his first touchdowns, that they were giving him a lot of opportunity, or on the defensive side as well. I think I saw I think McEwen is the TCU transfer.
Yeah.
And I know he had been hurt, Coach mentioned the last few games, so it was kind of like a stunt in his growth this season. But, that big play he had, so that was very encouraging to see. I mean, there were some times where he like you said, Dan, guys were getting beat over the top, and I know he wasn't immune to that as well. So that lack of pass rush, I think we only had 1 sack. I'm looking at Ryan Henderson. That's a name I haven't heard either. So that was encouraging to see that. And I can't remember if that was a strip sack. That was like a critical time in the second half.
Ryan Henderson had that fumble on the running back at the end of the game. That was huge.
Yeah, he stripped it and recovered it.
So he also had a sack. So big plays from guys that we're not familiar with seeing their name being called out. You know what I mean? I know Josh Hunter got some run out there. I know Chris Johnson got some run out there in the secondary. And I feel like we're at this stage of the season, guys, where, okay, maybe the Mountain West Conference Championship is not exactly within reach right now. So it's like, what do? Do you get these young guys some meaningful snaps, some meaningful, experience out there for moving forward and mix things up? I don't know if you guys heard Randy Cross on the television. He was like, you kind of got a chuckle out of it because he was saying how Brady Hoke is experimenting. From Brady Hoke's words, he wanted to give, maybe we need to play some new players and maybe we're starting the wrong guys. And Randy Cross was kind of like made a chuckle out of that. Like, well, you should know that at this point of the season, I mean, how do you guys feel about that? Are you guys in favor of all these different new guys getting those opportunities? Do you think it's more the players, the scheme?
I think it doesn't hurt with the way the team has performed up to this point. It doesn't hurt to make changes. They made changes on the offensive line too. The whole right side was different this game. It was Abdullah and I'm going to butcher his name. I apologize, but Drew Azaparai.
As a party.
I'm sorry. However you pronounce it. That was the right side of the offensive line. So yeah, in my opinion, I think they took the bye week and treated it like a mini fall camp and kind of made some changes, man. And the performance this week maybe wasn't so hot, but it couldn't hurt, in my opinion. So that's the way I feel about it. I don't know, Dan might have a different take, but
well, I just think like inherently coaches allow returners the opportunity to lose the spot more than the young kids taking the spot. Like, so they weren't like Lucky Sutton might be the best running back on the team, but even with that, they're always going to give the returners the opening shot, see what they could do. I thought he looked great, man. And, I like seeing the young players. It might be, man, I think it hurt us in secondary for sure, but they're getting reps and the secondary got reps against a passing offense. So they got to see a lot. Thankfully we won. It didn't cost us anything. And maybe now with another week of practice, you get the Nevada game in, then some confidence starts to get built a little bit.
That's a major. I'm sorry, dude. I think that's a major point. If you can make those experiments, like you said, if you do those experimental things and still come out with a win, that's a net positive, man. Because you got guys that haven't had some playing time in a game that mattered, and you still pulled out the win. So I'm okay with them experimenting as long as they keep pulling out the wins, because that's ultimately what the deal is here, right?
I mean, that's the big talk, right? It's like, okay, are we going to be bowl eligible? You know what I mean? Because you're sitting there with 4 losses. If you need to go do something, Dan, you good? You good?
I let the cat out. I didn't know he was in here.
He was making his podcast debut, bro. Simba getting in on the action.
I'm over here drinking one of our double IPAs. I'm like, dude, am I seeing things, bro? Like
that reminds me. Do you still have a few of those left in?
I do. You guys, okay. Welcome. Aztec Nation, thank you so much for your ongoing support of our Sons of Monty NIL shop at sonsofmontezuma.com. There in the shop, you can purchase the most unique Aztecs-inspired merchandise featuring one of our many student athletes on our NIL team. Like quarterback Jalen Maiden, Keenan Kristen, Makai Shaw, Cooper McDonald, Garrett Fountain, and now just added tight end Mark Redmond and defensive back Des Malone. Your support in the shop directly impacts our student athletes and continues to build Sons of Monty, where we can create for more Aztecs. So check out all of our NIL apparel and more Monty products available now at sonsofmontezuma.com. So yeah, talking about wins, bowl eligibility, right? That's got to be like the ultimate goal right now where we're at, because with 4 losses in a row, it's like you look at the rest of the schedule, and I mean, boy, you got to get to bowl eligibility. That's the ultimate mark here. So getting this win was huge, and it's a little bit of a gamble, right? Because you don't really know what you have with a lot of these young guys. You want to see what they can do. Talking about Lucky Sutton, guys, because everybody's excited to see Lucky Sutton. He's a local guy, had a huge high school career here in town. He looked great because he just had like such a burst coming out of the backfield, it seemed like, right? I mean, he was just very decisive, he exploded out of the backfield. Now I know we're talking about goal line situations, but I mean, 7 carries for him. Cam Davis got 10 carries for 56 yards. He looked, really
he
good
looked
coming out of
really
the
good.
backfield as well. Real shifty and just a noticeable burst coming out, right?
Yeah, but we're still not. So now what? We're 5 running backs deep. I hate that.
I do too. I'll be honest.
I was thinking that the whole time watching the game. I'm like, Dan's pulling his hair out watching this game with all these running backs getting touches, man.
Like, dude, you have these running backs, and you have the first, second, third, fourth team for a reason. If you got they get to watch them every day, they should know how good they are, and set it, roll with it, and then make a decision next week and roll with it. But I hate we get Martin Blake, we have Armstead, dude. There's just so many. Sutton now, and then I bet you Conley's pretty close to getting in there too because he's the one that returned a couple kicks. So we'll see. That was another thing that hurt us too, guys. When he decided to return that ball out.
Yeah, Coach Hoke did mention that in the post game presser. That was a questionable decision, but they're all in on the youth, and I think anybody who's questioning recruiting, it's fair to question, but there are some talented pieces coming up through the ranks that we should be excited for. I think Canley, obviously Lucky Sutton, those guys are definitely some. But it is a little frustrating. Let's talk about the offense though as a whole, guys, because Jalen Maiden was efficient. I think that was like the key word. I mentioned to you guys like not a lot of scoring was going on in the second and third quarter. The scoring we did have in that first half was primarily like special teams and defense, right? The pick six and just setting things up. So it was a frustrating watch for me, but Maiden was efficient on the overall 18 to 24, 221 yards. He had an interception early in the game, but he didn't turn the ball over throughout the rest of the game. Huge pass to Mekhi Shaw. Having Mekhi Shaw, guys, having him back, there was a noticeable difference. He's so dependable. I think his route running is excellent. But throughout the game, I was very frustrated. Need I say I was getting a little bored because the offense just wasn't doing anything. But Coach Lindley, he kind of put me in my place. And this is why. The end of the third quarter, I'm looking at my brother. We're watching the game together, and I'm like, dude, if we can't score against Hawaii, if this offense can't do anything, like I'm starting to question this decision. What's going on here? Like, well, and then before you know it, fourth quarter comes around, and I see some really, really excellent play calling from Coach Lindley. 21 points scored in that fourth quarter. I feel like he really did catch a rhythm there in that fourth quarter where we were moving the ball, we were controlling the ball, and 21 points. They put the game out of reach.
We can argue about the results, but I haven't had a problem with Ryan Lindley's play calling because it seems like there's always somebody open. It's just whether they are able to complete the pass or whether the guys can execute the run. I have not had an issue with his play calling at all this year. So I'm not putting the blame on him as much as you are. I think the biggest thing in that fourth quarter is we actually started to run the ball. That's the first time I've seen this team be able to run the ball with a little bit of consistency and all year pretty much. And I think that was the biggest difference why the offense started flowing is they were able to run the ball and get, 3, 4, 5 yards when they ran the ball. And that kind of sets the offense. It keeps you on your schedule to call your other plays and your more dynamic like passing plays and things like that. And they kind of got Redmond into the game a little bit more. He caught a couple passes. So that was good. And to me, it's not been an issue of Lindley. It's the guys executing what Lindley wants. And I think that fourth quarter, if that's what we can expect going forward, I think that's a good sign. But, another game, different situation, we'll see.
Dan, any thoughts and opinions? Like I said, having Mekhi Shaw back, 6 catches, 126 yards, and that big touchdown, he was wide open. Were there any plays that really stood out to you as far as the offense's performance? Do you see this as an execution thing or more like play calling thing?
Look, if the play works, that means the play was good, I guess. Like the offensive coordinator judging them off their plays, I don't really care because they could have called a great play, but it didn't work. So, it is what it is. I like that. I thought that the reverse call was awesome. We don't see a lot of trick plays on the offense. and to go to the traditional, throw it back to Maiden for a run. I thought that was cool. But for all the good plays, man, then we still have something like we've dropped a snap where the center doesn't snap the ball all the way back. It almost cost us the game, on a 4th and 1.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if in some cases we're getting too dependent on that like jumbo 3-back formation.
The tush push that we
that
you and I went crazy on them to do after the UCLA game. They got like too far the other way.
Did you guys see the session with Coach C? How he basically got that from like the Chicago Bears back in like the 40s or something like that. Like it's really cool. It's pretty awesome and it works, and that's what I love about college football, right? I think you kind of allude to that, James, like watching all the different formations and different strategies. Like it's cool to see different lineups like that when they work, right? Sooner or later somebody's going to figure it out, but it's just cool to have an OC, I think, that digs in the crates, pull something out like that, and it works, and it's been working until it doesn't work. Keep running it.
I like the handoffs from it. I like the running game from it. It's just sometimes like that one where they went for it on that fourth and 1 with that quarterback. I mean, that was going to take a big push to get there. That wasn't that close,
Yeah.
And then so the center feels that, so he's trying to be quick to get the ball to him, to get a block. But man, I was so pissed. I was just like, dude, come on, what are we doing here?
I will agree with you on that. I thought that was a risky call because it was like there's a big difference, right? When you're talking within 1 yard, if it's like a matter of, a couple inches or 1 yard, that was like 2 yards almost, that's really tough to get a push like that. So no doubt you're right. I think that's why they kind of rushed that snap and it just fell all apart. Okay. Can we talk about the big debate we had, guys? Because, in those closing moments, that's when the game can really be decided on some of those, mistakes or those few plays down at the end. A couple weeks ago against Boise, me and Dan were on the side of the Aztecs making a furious comeback, and we're like, look, we're driving the ball. It's a 2-score game. There's a minute left. Kick the field goal. Then you could kick the onside kick and try to get the ball back with enough time to march down the field and score a touchdown, right? Aztecs didn't do that against Boise. It worked out, though, because they scored a touchdown with ample enough time. They just didn't get the onside kick. Well, here we saw Hawaii. We saw Hawaii do exactly what me and Dan were fighting for. Kick that field goal, take the guaranteed points or close to chip shot guaranteed points. And then you got like over a minute or so, march down the field, all your timeouts. I think they had all their timeouts. I don't remember, but Hawaii did it. So it kind of proved the case. Yeah, there are coaches out there that do it.
It just shit. It didn't prove shit. It just proved that they tried it your way.
No one proved because it was so. I mean, they made the field goal, so it worked,
Yeah, but we scored a touchdown and it worked. So
like in that case, I'm saying in that case, like you would take heat if you missed that field goal. That's where you take the heat as a coach because you could have got closer, right? So they made the field goal. He had faith, and it was actually a pretty good onside kick. It's just, was it Martin Blake who caught it?
Yeah, Martin Blake swallowed that ball up. Perfect.
Yeah, he was smart. He attacked the ball instead of letting it come to him. That was a good play by him.
After watching that Boise State Colorado State game, or not even watching it, after hearing about it, I was like, here we go. This is going to be our turn right here.
We'll get into that because the Mountain West is crazy right now. We'll get into that right now. So, hey, the Aztecs pulled the win. They pulled the win out on the islands, brought the W back home. A big cheers to everybody who made that trip out there to Honolulu and saw it. I got a lot of mixed reviews, from that stadium and whatnot. They're doing what they can, though. It's hard to hate on Hawaii, the Rainbows. Like, those are one of the teams in the Mountain West. I don't really have any bitter feelings towards them. Like, they're a loyal fan base. They've been through a lot. And I hope they get their stadium situation fixed. But when it came down to it, we got the win. We're not in the cellar anymore. But as the standings go, guys, we are still middle of the pack, and Colorado State pulled out that miracle win against Boise. That was, guys, did you guys know that was their first victory against Boise State all time? And they won it on a Hail Mary. Like, unbelievable. On a deflection.
I mean, that's good for us. The more chaos in the mountain. I mean, because Air Force is going to be the 1 seed most likely. And the 2 seed is not going to have just one loss. So, I mean, there's still a chance. I'm not, counting on that, but there's still a chance we can get in there.
So let's just put things in perspective, right? Because this is a crazy year. I just want to let everybody know Air Force is in first place, like you said, James, at 4-0. UNLV is in second place, and we're halfway through the season. I don't know when we've been able to say that. And we don't play UNLV this year, so that's I don't know how to take that. It's a good or a bad thing. But they're 2-0 in conference, 5-1 overall. Then you got Fresno State, 6-1 overall, 2-1 in conference. Then you got Wyoming. Now, Wyoming's better than their spot at fourth because they obviously beat Fresno State already. I think they're better than UNLV. They were this close to beating Air Force. That was an awesome game. I don't know if you guys watched that one. Wyoming and Air Force.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of that. It was good.
Crazy game, similar to ours, I think. That's worth watching the highlights. That was a crazy game. Crazy game. And then you got Boise State behind Wyoming. So I know we're all pissed, Aztec Nation. I know we're all down in the dumps. A victory against Hawaii should not be like the most thrilling, point of the season to date. But just realize it's kind of a shakeup year in the Mountain West this year when you got UNLV in second spot and Air Force, dominating, and it doesn't look like Air Force is going to relent that spot. It's just a little bit of a different year. So we'll see. But we got Nevada coming up this weekend, and Nevada is absolutely god awful. I think they have the worst defense in all FBS. Statistically speaking, they are terrible. So I don't really have much to say about Nevada, guys. I really don't.
They're the worst defense in the Mountain West and the worst offense in the Mountain West. So, yeah, this should be a game if you want to get more young kids time. Like, this is the game to do it. And then they have a bye week the next week, right? So this is a good experimental game. Again, just get the win, most importantly. But it's a good one to do some more experimentation before the bye week and get ready for the somewhat tough home stretch that we have coming down after that bye week.
All right, guys, to wrap things up, because it was Hawaii. We should have beat them, and we beat them. Nevada's coming up. We should beat them. If we don't, then we're going to have some real problems. But, guys, we got the win. Basketball's been going crazy, guys. Basketball's been going crazy with some big-time recruits. I know James was talking trash to me earlier. What do you guys have to say when it comes to recruiting? Because, basketball, Final Four run. So they're getting these 4 stars. They're getting all these big recruits. But when it comes to football, it's not the same. It's just not the same. What do we got to do football-wise to get these big recruits? I mean, is it NIL money, in your opinion? Do they have to go on a magical run similar to what basketball did? Or is it something else? Dan, what do you got, man? What do you got?
Harder. Football's harder for the recruiting. I mean, we can't play in a national championship. Basketball, you could be a G5 and you could be a power program. It's just different. They're not even comparable.
I think it's multiple things, man. Like you talked about, it's like Dan said, the access to the championship. Hopefully that's going to change next year with the expanded playoff. We'll actually have a chance. If we're the best team in the Mountain West and we're the best of the G5, then we have a chance to get in the playoff. So I think that'll help a little bit. It's the NIL money. It's like a combination of everything, man. And, just the history of the programs, the momentum of the program. Right now, our program doesn't have a lot of momentum coming off a not so great year last year. And then this year we didn't get off to a hot start. So you can't really compare just alone the momentums of the two programs. They're completely different. One's coming off a national championship game. The other's coming off a 7-6 season with not so great attendance in their stadium. And those aren't great things to sell to recruits. It makes it a lot harder to sell the program to a recruit. So it's like a combination of a lot of things. And like Dan said, frankly, football is just much harder to recruit. football, the coaches have to do a lot more work to find guys that have been under recruited because there's so much football being played across the country, especially here in California. There's a lot of guys here that don't get recruited that are Power 5 level players. They just aren't recruited just because of the sheer numbers of people playing football here in California, Arizona, Nevada, Texas. So, yeah, I think it's just a combination of things and multiple factors. So you can't really, oh man, why the basketball program's doing this? Why isn't the football program doing this? You can't make that comparison, man.
I only bring it up because I do see people making the comparison. You know what I mean? And it's usually gets an eye roll from me because it's like it's apples and oranges. It's completely different animals between the two sports. But it is something that the Aztec Nation is talking about. And of course, when, like you said, the momentum is down on football, everything is wrong. You know what I mean? To us as diehard fans, you see it. If something's going bad, it's the worst thing in the world. The sky is falling. The roof is caving in. Everything. So it's not an excuse, but it's just an understanding and explanation on football. So I'm not sure what it's exactly going to take, but I think that momentum has a lot to do with it. You know, we talked about a shakeup. There needs to be some type of a shakeup to reinvigorate some energy into this program. Whether this Hawaii victory is the beginning of great things, playing younger players and seeing what else is out there on the team, that opportunity, I don't know.
Well, the only thing you can sell that doesn't involve like history of the program, Power 5 affiliation, the main things are playing time, location to home, NIL money, which that's the only thing we can affect as fans is NIL money. And that's pretty much it, man. Those are the three things that, despite the power structure of college football, those are three things that the coaching staff can sell and we as fans can do to help the coaching staff sell. Are those big things is the playing time, the proximity to home, and NIL money.
Well, I definitely want to have more of that conversation. I think it's going to be a bigger conversation as the year goes on because, with everything, the way this program is headed, some good points. I just think there needs to be something that they're not tapping into. So hopefully they do. Hopefully this year ends on a high note and we can keep improving every single game. So we thank you guys for joining us on this episode of the Sons of Montezuma podcast. We look forward to seeing you all at the tailgate this Saturday, 6 p.m., October 21st against Nevada. It's going to be hopefully a victory Saturday for the Aztecs. And we'd love to see you out at the tailgate, yellow lot down by the grass, by the trolley park. It's a good time down there. So, all right, guys. On behalf of Sons of Montezuma, on behalf of Dan and K5 James, make sure you're going to sonsofmontezuma.com. We'll see you guys next time. Go Aztecs.
Go Aztecs.
I'm an Aztec warrior.
Yo.
Tap out.